my fine feathered friends. It's Nanny Claire, and I've got a book for you called Just Only John by Jack Kent. He's one of my favorite authors. Mama Bunny and Daddy Ruff Ruff agree. You don't hear much about him anymore. This book was written in 1968 when I was just 8 years old, and there's John rolling a big snowball, and he's making a snowman. Once upon a time, a long time ago, if you count Sundays and holidays, there was a little boy named John. There he is, and there's the snowman he just made. He'd been a little boy named John for over 4 years, and he was getting tired of it. Not that it wasn't a very nice thing to be, but sometimes he wondered what it would be like to be something else. Sometimes on Thursday afternoons, if the weather was nice, he wondered what it would be like to be an elephant named Guster who worked at the circus. And sometimes on Tuesdays after his nap, he wondered what it would be like to be a giraffe named Elmer, or George, or Melvin, or Jim. One day when John was wondering what it would be like to be a kangaroo named Sam, he got an idea. "I know what I'll do," he said. "I'll pretend. If I pretend hard enough, I'll know what it's like, and I won't have to wonder anymore." So he spent the whole morning pretending he was a kangaroo who liked hot dogs and soda pop. And he spent the whole afternoon wondering whether it was the bounces or the hot dog that gave him such an awful tummy ache. "You can't find out what it's like to be something by pretending," he said. "You only find out what it's like to pretend to be something. It's not the same thing at all." Suddenly, John remembered Mrs. Walpurgis, who did witchcraft and hem-stitching and had a shop at the other end of the block. There's Mrs. Walpurgis doing some knitting. On the counter in Mrs. Walpurgis's shop were big glass jars filled with penny magic spells for turning people into a wide variety of interesting things. He's choosing some now. What is he choosing? John picked out a peppermint-flavored magic spell and gave Mrs. Walpurgis his penny. He didn't ask what the spell would turn him into because he didn't want to spoil the surprise. But he hoped it wouldn't be one of the very fierce animals. He was a little afraid of very fierce animals. "Can you roar like a lion?" "Roar!" Oh, that was terrible. I bet you did a good roar. That was good. When he got home, John peeked to see what he had turned into. "Why," he said, "I'm only me." And that's what he was. "I guess it takes a while for the magic to work," thought John. But he hoped it would work before bedtime so he wouldn't be asleep when it happened. He would have hated to miss it. There he is, looking in the mirror, and he's just him. "Oh, there you are," said John's mother. "Where has my little lamb been?" Can you guess what's going to happen? No sooner had she said "little lamb" than John turned into one. It was that sort of magic spell. His mother was rather surprised when John turned into a lamb. "What happened to you, Bunny?" she asked, but John didn't answer. Can you guess what is going to happen next? He had turned into a bunny and wasn't quite sure, being new at it, what sort of voice a bunny should answer in. "Stop that this instant, John," said John's mother. No sooner did she call him John than John was John again. He felt more comfortable that way, since it was what he was used to. He told his mother all about the magic spell, and they agreed that something should be done about it, but they weren't sure what. What do you think they should do? They decided to go ask Daddy. Daddy was at the office, and on the way there, John's mother gave him some jelly beans to munch on. He'd had a rather upsetting experience, and jelly beans are good for things like that. "Eat them nicely," said his mother. "Not like that," she said. "Why must you be such a pig?" Hey, that's not a nice thing to call your son, is it? Anyway, it's an insult to a pig. It's embarrassing to turn into a pig at the corner of Main and Elm at 3:30 in the afternoon with everybody looking. There's John, and he turned into a pig. "You're not a pig," said John's mother quickly. "You're John," and he was. Daddy was a very important man with his own office and his name on the door. "Well, well," said John's daddy, "how's my little man today?" While John turned into a little man with a long white beard, his mother explained to Daddy all about the spell. "It's what comes of wanting to be something you're not," said John's daddy. "I know it was better just being me," said John, "but the magic spell just won't let me, not for very long anyway," and he started to cry. Wah, wah. Oh, look who's here. It's Olive. Come say hello, Olive. I'm reading the end of the story.
Excuse me.
"Little men don't cry," said Daddy. "It gets their beards soggy. The magic spell won't bother you if you just remind yourself that you are you," said Daddy. So John kept repeating, "I am only John. I am only John. I am only John." Hi, Olive. This is the end. You've heard this story, though. And he was, and probably still is. Moral? Be yourself, because somebody has to, and you are the closest. And that's Just Only John by Jack Kent. You'd heard that story before. It's about liking to be yourself.
Which I don't.
Ha! It's fun to pretend you're somebody else sometimes, isn't it? And it's also fun.
Sometimes I pretend I'm a Barbie.
Yeah, that's fun.
Hello, everybody.
But there's only one Olive, not two. Only one. And one you. Take care. Bye.